Have you ever had body work done and you keep having the same body work done, chiropractic care, massage, etc. And the body keeps reverting back to old patterns, meaning you have the work done, the results last for a day or so, and then they start going back into the same position or location that they were before. Have you ever thought that might actually have to do with an emotional pattern or an energetic pattern that's lying underneath? Join me this week as I take a look at the emotional body and how this can manifest as symptoms as we talk with Jennifer Takagi this week about more modalities that you may want to pull into your healthcare team. Hi, I'm Adrienne Irizarry. I'm an Eastern medicine practitioner who is passionate about women's health and helping women live their best lives. My goal is to put you in the driver's seat of your menstrual health, offering period solutions for a symptom-free life. Statements made in this program are for educational purposes only and not intended as a substitution for medical consultation or advice. We do not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. This podcast is inclusive and welcomes all gender identities. The focus of the program is on biological function, and we will use the term women throughout, but it is referencing physiological and social challenges for biology, not identity. Come as you are, I am happy you're here and welcome all performances of identity. I hope you find something helpful in this show. Welcome back to another episode of the Reproductive Rebel podcast. I am a big proponent of holistic wellness, if you hadn't already guessed, with all of the episodes I've put out so far. If you are new to the show, I'm a holistic wellness practitioner. And if you've been listening for a while, you know that I offer lots of different perspectives on what wellness can look like. And I am really excited to introduce Jennifer Takagi today. She's joining us. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hello, thank you for having me.
So, the reason why I took such an interest in Jennifer is the fact that she offers some really beautiful modalities that are useful, very useful on a lot of levels in the wellness and healing process. So, I'm a big proponent of it takes a village. And as a holistic wellness practitioner, I love being able to coordinate with other holistic practitioners or other people who work in a holistic way because healing is so much more than just the physical body. And I think this is the part where traditional medicine kind of loses scope a little bit is they're very focused on just the physical and they're not asking you about what happened in your past or what's going on in your life right now or things like that, which can speak to the emotional body and the spiritual body. And in Jennifer's work, she covers those things. So I wanted to have her on today to share the kinds of modalities that she works with, because these can all be incredible tools for you on your healing journey. So, like I said, welcome to the show, Jennifer. I am so happy that you're here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and share this work that I've been working in and learning and practicing. It's been a really fun journey for me.
Well, let's talk about that journey just a little bit. So, Jennifer works with the Akashic records and she works with emotion code, body code, and belief code. Okay. And we're going to talk about what all those things are in a second. But how did you get to the modalities that you now work in, Jennifer?
Well, I would have never dreamed I would have ended up on this path. And as a matter of fact, a girlfriend from high school said, "Wow, of all the people in our graduating class, you're the last one I would have thought would have been here." So I just want to get that out there. Like, this wasn't like something I sought after, like consciously, ooh, I want to do things differently. But when I really started thinking about how come and why I was so open about various modalities and healing, it goes back to when I was about 7 or 8 years old. We had a friend of the family who was a plastic surgeon, and his wife needed surgery, and they had been practicing hypnosis. And he did surgery on his wife. and they used no anesthesia. She hypnotized herself so that she didn't feel any pain during this procedure. And the story goes that at some point in the procedure, she started internally bleeding. And he was like, "You need to stop that bleeding now. Here's where it is." And she did, even though she was in this deep hypnotic state. And my mom and dad believed in it completely. They were like, "Wow, that is so cool." We didn't really practice it, but at least the door was open to the possibility of another way. So fast forward, I was part of a mastermind and a spiritual healer was there. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. Like, what? So, of course, I had to immediately start working with her because I was just fascinated. And a lot of things from the past did come up. I'm not a big proponent of you have to relive every event of your past, but by recognizing patterns can be useful in a lot of ways. And I'm all about that. But having to relive it all, not so much. So I had heard a little bit about Akashic Records, but I didn't really know much about it. And I was offered a free reading and I took it immediately. And the gal was amazing. And she was like, "Hey, do you want to learn how to do this?" And I was like, "Yes." So I signed up for her class. It was like 8 or 9 months later. And in this class, we learned how to read Akashic Records. And I'm like, wow, this is fascinating. We get to the end of it, and I get an email that says, "Congratulations, you're a certified soul care coach." I didn't even know that was part of the program. So, Akashic records are basically the record of your soul from the time you left source, whether source is God, which is God for me, universe, whatever term you use, it's all basically the same in my mind. And you have this library. So envision a library. And when you open your records, you're literally pulling out one book and you're opening it and reading from that page. But as your willingness grows, as your consciousness grows, that library expands. It's not stagnant, it grows. The volumes grow and expand. So the benefit of an Akashic reading is that you can get clarity on your path and where you want to go because it's never scary. It's always confirmation of what you wanted anyway or the direction you wanted to go, which to me is very comforting. So I started doing readings just for fun and I had my calendar set up, and the first person I read that I didn't know at all, we had no connection. We were in the same group of 100 women or 500 women or something. We didn't know each other. And at the end, she said, "May I give you a testimonial?" And it was like, yes, that's like manna from heaven. Yes, you can give me a testimonial. So I was like, I think I want to do this more. Then another woman in the same group popped up in the feed and said, "I'm going to teach level 1 and 2 Holy Fire Reiki. Who's in?" And I was like, yes. I kept hearing about Reiki, didn't know what it was. And I don't know the difference between the different kinds of Reiki because I only know what I learned from her. And that's the kind I practice. But what I have also learned that I kind of was dipping into before I ever took her class, if you have a headache and you rub your hands together and get some heat going, and you hold your hands over that part of your body, typically for me, it's the front of my head, occasionally it's the back of my head, it will like concentrate the energy to help break that up. And it's like, oh, and you have a pain here or there. Just, I like to rub my hands together. I don't know if that helps or not, but I like doing it. Rub your hands together and put it there. And it's like you can feel the heat and the energy. And you pretty much leave your hands there until the energy dissipates somewhat. And someone goes, wow, that really kind of works. Like, I'm not a Reiki master. I wasn't activated. I didn't do the things, but wow, you can do a lot. Yep, you can do a lot on your own. Okay, so we're still going down this path. It hadn't even been a year yet. And I become introduced to the book called The Emotion Code. And it was written by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And he is a retired chiropractor. And through his practice, he started noticing, if you've ever been to a chiropractor, you have to go multiple times. You can't just go once and you walk away and you're like, "Whew, yeah, I feel better." I love chiropractors, by the way. Like, I think they have a wonderful place in the world. And by the way, my mom, when she was pregnant with me many years ago, had sciatica and this terrible pain. And a friend goes, "You need to go see a chiropractor." And my mom goes, "They're quacks." She goes,
Mhm.
"No, you need to go see him." She was put on a table that had a hole in the middle for her big belly because she was
Yep.
her 8 months pregnant. He adjusted her back and her hip, and she had no more pain the rest of the pregnancy. So she
Mhm.
decided, not quacks after all. Once you experience it, right? You're in it. But through his work, he started noticing that when people were coming back for the same problem, that they had trapped emotions. And there's a lot of work around and studies around trapped emotions. And a trapped emotion is roughly the size of your fist. And if everything is created by energy and everything ends energy, and emotion is energy in motion, emotion, then the blood can't flow, the oxygen can't flow, and the body does not have the ability, the innate ability to heal itself, which is kind of how miraculously we were created in the first place. So, through the emotion code, you can quickly and easily identify the trapped emotion, set the intention to clear it out, and clear the trapped emotion. And people have had amazing results with just getting rid of the trapped emotions and letting their bodies heal. A lot of clients I work with have anxiety. And one lady just recently, the trapped emotion that came up for her was overwhelm. And the next week we had a meeting and she was like, "I just want you to know I haven't felt overwhelmed all week." I was like, "Awesome. Like, let's get rid of that and let you get on to the work that you were meant to do." The fun thing about it is you can go online and you can search the emotion code chart. You can get the book. It's audiobook and print and Kindle. It's all the versions. And you can identify your own trapped emotions and you can release them yourself. I find I get a lot better results if I have someone else do it for me, but you can do it for yourself and you can make headway yourself with the emotion code. So, as Dr. Nelson's body of work continued over the years, he originally had been into computer science before he became a chiropractor. So, he had this very connective type approach to life and mindset. So, like, this is connected to this and this is connected to this. So, he created an amazing chart, which thank goodness, because of technology, is now an app. And I use the app in my work and you can find where the imbalances or misalignments are in the physical, emotional, or spiritual body. And again, set the intention to create balance or to realign what's misaligned. And that has been just miraculous work and life changing for people. Well, one of the strangest things that's happened on more than one occasion is we were at events, live events, and there were cats. And at 2 different ones, people were allergic to cats, and they have tears running down their face, they're completely miserable. One quick session, and that was that. They are no longer allergic to cats. One gal sent me a picture of her holding a kitten up cheek to cheek in her face, and she was like, "Look, I'm not allergic." So you create that balance, and the body can heal itself. It's amazing. In the green room before we hit record, I told you I'm very much a both and kind of girl. I'm all about modern medicine, but we need both. I had my knee replaced recently, and I'm just going to say my recovery has been amazing because of all the energy work I did around it before and after, as well as months of physical therapy. So, like, it's all the things. I had a physical therapist, I had an orthopedic surgeon, I had a gal who did crystal work and opened and closed the chakra. She opened my knee chakra so it was ready for the trauma of surgery. And then we went in another session and closed it. So it all goes together. And then the final modality is the belief code. And again, through the work, we have different structures of our beliefs. And some beliefs started because we experienced the world and drew conclusions. Our mind wants to make shortcuts. We want to bring everything together and make as many connections as possible. And we create beliefs around that. Other times, other people subject us to it to the point that we take it on because they pretty much made us. And other times they're inherited. The belief structure is so great that when you're conceived, it can come from either your father or your mother, but that belief system is literally ingrained from birth. And with trapped emotions, we can release a trapped emotion. But if it is inside of a belief system, then it doesn't go away because it's ingrained. So, again, he created an amazing chart that walks us through so that we can find the negative programming, the limiting beliefs, all terms we've all heard of, the faulty core belief and the faulty core identity to make drastic and immediate shifts in your life and how you perceive the world. So, very long answer to a very short question. And I'll just stop there.
No, that's perfect because you wove it together so beautifully. There were a few pieces and I was like, "Oh," like you were on a roll and I didn't want to interrupt you. I love that your work acknowledges the interplay between how things are physically expressed in the body and the energetic aspect of things. This is a topic that I've talked about several times on the show. This is why I thought Jennifer would be such a great fit for an episode is we don't acknowledge nearly enough how repeated physical symptomatic patterns in the body often have an energetic underlying component. And I love that you mentioned chiropractic care. Some of my favorite humans in the entire world are chiropractors. So shout out to all my chiropractic friends. I would never have been able to get through my pregnancy without chiropractic adjustment. My poor chiropractic friend, she decided they had the audacity to take a vacation. Poor woman. So I hobbled into my appointment and I was like, I've missed. So they, they do such beautiful work in the world. And I love how, you can go in for chiropractic adjustment and you can do several, but sometimes things don't move until you address that underlying energetic component. And then the body goes, oh, I don't feel like I have to guard in this area anymore. I do this with pelvic steaming. I do this with acutonics in my own practice. Is like sometimes when you go to apply the forks, because acutonics is a sound healing modality, you go to apply forks to the body itself and you can watch the body like curl in on itself and protect, or the muscles will contract in certain areas. And those areas are indicative of where they're holding emotions, trauma, things that they need to work on in addition to the work that we're doing on the physical body. And the other piece that I wanted to address is, if you have been listening to the show for a little while, I did an episode with Susan Salinger, and she was talking about the importance of like getting a second opinion and dovetailing modalities with traditional medicine. And you were talking about the fact that you're a proponent of both and a synergistic relationship between both. And I agree with you. I do talk about some of the areas where traditional medicine does fall down, and it's only because of this siloed approach. If we can learn to work in a synergistic way, or if you are having traditional procedures done and you dovetail them with somebody who does energetic work to help your body to heal afterwards, the outcomes are so much better. It's just like when you trust your surgeon versus when they don't have a really great bedside manner and you don't trust them. Just that level of trust creates that energetic connection like, okay, I can relax and not guard against whatever it is that you're doing. And I trust that you have my best interest at heart. Right. And the outcome of that procedure is so much better. So there is such a big connection between how the physical body expresses itself and the emotional body expressing itself through the physical body. This is why I love what you do.
Well, like 2 big things for me came up to share. So, I had my first knee surgery years ago, and the surgeon said just structurally how it was put together, at some point, I would have to have my knee replaced, so it wasn't really a shock when it came. And then one time I slid in the mud and tore my meniscus and did some other stuff to the other knee and
Ouch.
went back to the same surgeon, right? Because he's my guy. And it was time for my knee to actually be replaced. I was dying in pain. So I reached out to a good friend of mine from high school that's an anesthesiologist. And I was like, hey, where's my guy? And I'm in Oklahoma. And he goes, oh, he moved to Arizona and he's practicing there. And I was like, he promised he was going to stay around and take care of me. I said, who do you recommend? And he sent me a list of surgeons. And I went, I don't think you understand. I want to know who you would go to. He told me who he would go to. So I called and made an appointment. This was just before Thanksgiving. And so I couldn't get in till the end of January. And I finally got in. By now, I'm in physical therapy, which has helped immensely. Big proponent of physical therapy. And the surgeon says, yeah, this is very clear. And I want to do a test. And it's an allergy to metals. And it's about $400. Insurance will not pay for it. But I have found more women than men are allergic. And if you are, and we put a replacement in, your body will fight it because it's a foreign object anyway, but then it's got a metal that you're sensitive or allergic to. I want to do this test. And I was like, all right, fine. So they draw blood and it'll be a few weeks. And I called my husband and I was like, well, I'm scheduled for surgery. And I just wasted $400 on a stupid blood test that I didn't need, but he thought it would be a good idea. So I did it. And he goes, well, you got to do what they say. 2 or 3 weeks pass. I'm working away. Phone rings. And this gal says, this is such and such from the surgeon's office. I called about your metal allergy test. And immediately I went in my head, yeah, I wasted $400. Okay, I get it. I get it. This was a waste of money. And she says, you're highly reactive.
Oh, no.
And I said, like, wait, what? And she goes, no, you're highly reactive. We cannot use a traditional implant. And I said, well, so now what do we do? And she goes, well, use a different one that has no nickel, but you're highly allergic to nickel. And I was like, okay, well, what does highly allergic mean? And she said, well, 8 is reactive and we will use no nickel. The highest we've ever seen is 15. Okay, are you ready for this? 20.2 allergic.
Wow.
Chances are I would have reacted still in the hospital. I was just there overnight,
Yeah.
but I was so allergic, I probably would have started having complications right away. So I was very grateful that I was with a progressive surgeon because
Mm,
the surgeon I was going to go to originally thinks it's a bunch of hooey
yeah.
and would not have tested. And it would have been catastrophic for me.
Oh my goodness, yes. Wow. That's like life-saving extra step.
Yeah. And my surgeon even said, I didn't really think it was a thing because it's fairly new to be happening and it's very rare. But there are so many baby boomers that are now of the age that they're having body parts replaced that it's coming up more often. And one of my conspiracy theorist friends went, oh yeah, the insurance companies just don't want to pay. And I was like, that's true. And it's not common. But as it becomes more common, it will become a more common practice, not only for the insurance companies, but also for the surgeons. Like, things take time. You can't have 4 people allergic out of 20,000 and have it be a thing, right? It's going to build, it's going to grow. And someone said, well, why don't you just heal yourself of that allergy? Yes, I intend to. However, I was not going to take the risk on something this major.
Yeah. Especially because it's gonna be in your body for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I will clear this allergy later. And the funny thing is, I only had one indication that I ever had a problem with metal, and it was some earrings I got. And I got them at a nice jewelry store, and it was like Valentine's Day. And I sent a picture to my husband, and he goes, I'll just go pick them up. And I was like, perfect. I couldn't wear them. I've never had a problem with jewelry ever. So it was very interesting that it all came on very quickly. I took them
Mhm,
back and I can't wear these. They replaced the post. Now I can wear them. And
mhm,
so I saw him the other day and I was like, oh, by the way, you remember those earrings I brought back? So yeah, it's kind of a thing. So is it going to be you that's allergic to metal? Probably not. Probably not. But I'm very grateful that I listened to the surgeon and followed what he said, or again, I would have had a very different outcome. And it can take months, if not years, for them to identify why you're not healing. So it's not a quick fix, but now I know.
and we see that with breast implants too. Breast
Yeah.
implant sickness and things like that, like, the body really doesn't like foreign objects in it, so we see this with IUDs. There are a lot of bodies that reject IUDs, so it's like, there are a lot of instances because the body is so brilliant, it goes, "Hey, there's something that doesn't belong in here. I don't know if I like this idea." And, to be able to minimize the potential rejection, essentially, of that joint in your body. But that just shows how deep that trust aspect, like, I trust this doctor has got my back. It seems like a silly extra test, but you know what? I trust this person. So I'm going to go for it. And that trust aspect, that being able to be held, that ability to surrender so that you can have these, either the test itself or the intervention that has to happen or whatever it is, it makes a huge difference in terms of the healing outcome for sure.
Well, I had some problems with heavy bleeding and various things, and my OBGYN recommended an IUD years ago. But he wanted to do a test to make sure my tubes were clear. And I said, oh, I already did that 10 years ago. They were clear. And he goes, well, a lot can happen in 10 years. He did another test. And I was like, okay, that hurts. Stop. And he goes, I already stopped, but your tube is completely blocked. And that's the dye trying to get through anyway, but it's blocked. You cannot have an IUD because they don't have a direct connection between pelvic inflammatory infections and a tubal block, but I just will not put an IUD in because you're putting a foreign body in if there's a block in a tube because something caused a problem at some point. So I did not get an IUD. And after I found out about this allergy, I looked it up. A lot of IUDs have nickel in them. So, like, my body knew years ago, you need to not do this.
And tried to protect you from it.
Well, like you say, I was at the right doctor
Yep.
because somebody else would have just said, oh, you want an IUD? Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that.
So, when you work with people to help unbox and release some of these things, because I worked with, she was a chiropractor also, actually. See the brilliance in chiropractic? I worked with a chiropractor years ago who used to be pretty famous for saying, your body is the movie projector of your life. And everything that you've experienced, the history that you walk into a situation with, all of those things are held at a cellular level somewhere inside of you. And it's one of the reasons why, and she was a network spinal analysis chiropractor and really truly saw a lot of healing and working with the nervous system and the wave along the spine. For those of you who are not familiar with what is so distinct about NSA chiropractic work, and I feel like that really speaks to, and that always resonated with me, that idea that your body holds all of the various aspects of things that you've been through in your life. And this is why, again, I wanted to bring you on the show because I think that the work that you do is a foundational piece of that. So, if you were to be working with somebody, how do you use the modalities that you work with in order to unlock some of these energetic patterns that might be leading to physical manifestation?
Well, there are 2 simple ways I work with people. One is a 1-hour session, and in the 1-hour session, I include as many of the modalities as we need as we work through it. It is always best if someone comes with, like, one main thing, like, "This is my main thing." Often, we have time to address other symptoms or issues, but if we have one thing, and I'll give a quick example of that. A client came to me and had 5 things. And her number one thing was eczema. And it started on her arm, went up her arm across her chest, and was moving up her neck to her face. What I didn't know about eczema is it hurts really badly. I just thought it looked bad and maybe was itchy or something, but apparently it wakes you up in the middle of the night with pain. And after 3 sessions, it was significantly better. And she goes, "Oh, but wait, I want to go work on this now." And I went, "No, we're sticking with that eczema." And it took 5 sessions, but I checked with her a couple months ago, and it's been a year that she's been completely free of eczema at all. So, but we do that within an hour session. We open the Akashic records. When you heal within the records, it's at a higher vibration. And I didn't mention this. There is a book. It's got a very complicated title. It's not complicated at all. It's called How to Read Akashic Records by Linda Howe. And so you can start doing yourself, right? I find it more impactful if somebody does the work for me and on me than doing it myself. I make a lot of headway on myself, but sometimes, somebody else without all the judgment that I bring to myself is helpful. So for an hour. The other thing that I was at a conference talking to a young mother, and she was like, when I take my children to the pediatrician, we might wait a while to get in, but it's like a 10-15 minute appointment. What can you do quickly? And it was like, oh, in 15 minutes, if we're doing emotion code and body code, I can work out 2 or 3 things very quickly. So I can do a whole hour, which is a lovely experience, I will say. Or we can do a 15-minute, I call it a body code session. We throw in emotion code too, but typically it's body code. And those are the 2 fastest, easiest ways to start making shifts in your life.
I love that. So I want to make sure that people can find you because I think this is really great work. Do you only work in person or do you work virtually as well?
So funny, I only work virtually.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, so that is wonderful for my listening audience. So, no matter where you are listening to this show, if you are very interested in what Jennifer is offering in terms of being able to augment your health team and add these tools into your repertory of ways to heal at the deepest layers of healing, how can people find you, Jennifer?
Yes. So my website is jennifertakagi.com, and that's Takagi, jennifertakagi.com. And I have a free gift for the audience, and it's 12minutegift.com, and that's 1 2 for the 12minutegift.com. And that's a 3-part audio series on really setting yourself up for success. I'm a 12-minute success coach. I do healing very quickly, so 12 to 15-minute sessions. And you can start changing your life by focusing on something 12 minutes a day. And at the end of a year, you've spent 73 hours on one thing that you can make a big shift. So that's my free gift. And it has a link in there to book a discovery call to see if there is any way that I can, provide a service to you and help you. And so that's kind of the easiest way to get to me.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming on today and talking about these beautiful modalities that you use in synergy with one another to help people uncover why they might have chronic patterns in physical symptoms and how they can unpack those and release them so that they no longer limit them from their fullest potential. Any final thoughts before we close today?
You are destined for success and a better life than you ever envisioned. So just step into it.
Oh, I love that. Such a beautiful send off. Thank you so much for your time today, Jennifer. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of Reproductive Rebel. Reproductive Rebel is recorded by certified peri-steam hydrotherapist and acutonics practitioner, herbalist, and Chinese nutritional therapist Adrienne Irizarry of Moon Essence LLC. If you are interested in setting up an appointment for one-on-one support, ordering from our store, or checking out our course offerings, visit our website at moonessence.life. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and get insider information on upcoming events and offerings. Join the conversation. Like and follow us at Moon Essence Me on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Your voices make this program possible. Thank you all for your continued support.